Hello, my name is Mercury, and welcome to this brand new episode of Media Buffet. Today, I am alone, and I'll be discussing the Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie that preceded the show. Now, if you have been someone who's following us for quite a bit of time, I would say 5 years, since 2021, which I don't know if you have. We have 33 Spotify followers, so hey, maybe you are. Maybe you are, maybe you aren't. I'm not sure. But if you were there, or if you watched any of our, which maybe you probably didn't, any of our episodes focusing on any of our compilations here on YouTube, where we had we compiled episodes from January, from like the very beginning up until like June of 2022. We didn't do anything more because I felt like we didn't really need to. But if you were at any point listening to those, you would have seen that we did episodes on Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Well, that was a different time and a different way of approaching it. So instead of approaching it in a normal way of, I guess, counting every season as one episode, kind of what we do now, and even what we did back then, instead we were going to go in chronological order of the entire show. And instead of it being 7 episodes, or I guess it would be 8 episodes now that we have the Clone Wars movie preceding the actual show, instead of being 8 episodes, it was going to be 13. And the reason why is because Star Wars: The Clone Wars is not chronologically aligned. It is an anthology, but it has episodes from different seasons that are in that came before, like, what is, I guess, the main, like, some arcs that appear here. So we want to cover it in order. That fell through really quickly because I think it was one every like few weeks or something like that. It was really weird how we were gonna do the episode for the Clone Wars, and I think it wasn't sustainable at all for us watching it, and yeah. So we canned that idea. I did want to cover the Clone Wars at some point, but that wasn't going to be for a very long time until, I guess until now, until 5 years later. Like, not even 5 years later. It's been less than 5 years, but it's going to be 5 years when we get to like season 1, I guess. But yeah, this was supposed to come out in July, so it was gonna be like 4 years instead of 5. Since then, which is definitely something. That's definitely an idea. But like, definitely I think something to talk about. This is a July episode. This episode was meant to come on July, and we're finishing January. So yeah. But yeah, I mentioned that because we actually covered the movie before. We've covered this movie before. Yeah, it was something that, yeah, we covered before. It was part of the first part of those episodes, and that gives this movie the distinction of being probably is going to be the only thing on Media Buffet we'll ever cover twice. I know that's weird, and I know we didn't start with everything eventually, with like the whole season 1. We didn't even cover season 1 fully. We covered like part of season 1. So not even that. I thought, season 1 definitely we covered fully, since it was 2 parts of episodes. We did 2 parts of 13. We did 2 parts. And I thought, okay, definitely we covered season 1. We didn't. Not in its entirety, we didn't. So, but this movie was in the first, like I said, in the first part. I guess you could say that we covered Falcon Winter Soldier twice. But I don't know, like, that was 2 other people giving their thoughts on the show, and I never really did anything like that. The only reason why I even covered the Falcon and Winter Soldier like that is because we needed an episode for that week. It's like, fuck it, I'm not waiting for them. In retrospect, I should have waited for them, but I didn't. I didn't do that, and now we have 2 episodes focusing on the Falcon Winter Soldier. But I never reviewed anything twice, and I never will. I never will review anything twice. If, for example, I will be doing an episode on the bad guys too. I didn't do the episode of the original bad guys. I will watch the first movie, but I never did. I never did that. And I watched the first movie, but I won't do an episode on the movie. If you want to know my thoughts, you can follow me on Letterboxd. And I guess same thing with Squid Game. I wasn't there for the Squid Game episode. I watched the show. I talked about it since I never really did a serialized review for it. And then I continued on season 2, and then we're gonna do season 3 at some point. So yeah, like you're not gonna see me do episodes again. Aside from this is the only thing, the only exception to the rule, because we, technically speaking, did not make an episode on the Clone Wars movie. We did talk about it. We never made an episode on it. So this will be the only thing we've ever done fully a second review for. If you want to see, if you want to see what were our initial thoughts, they are definitely on one of those playlists. I'm not sure which one it would be, like which of the playlists it would be. It's definitely February or March, around there. I think it's in the second part of the February to March compilation. So if you want to know our thoughts from back then, you can go on ahead and listen to that episode. I don't recommend it though, because that was 5 years ago. I didn't have the same taste before. Obviously, there were other people with me. But I didn't have the same taste as before. Maybe I found it not as bad. But yeah. And I assure you, the time I spent talking about this whole thing is probably the time we spent talking about the movie itself in that episode. And I don't think it was that long. So yeah. Obviously, I will make a more conscious effort to make this a longer episode, but I really don't think this is an episode. This is a movie that really deserves an episode. I think what we did in that first part is around what you should do. It's just this is a very long pilot for the show, but it counts as a movie, and it counts as a Star Wars movie, and it's on my Letterboxd list for all the Star Wars movies. So, yeah. Like, it's there, and I'm not removing it. It is a Star Wars movie. Do I think you should watch it? Like, if you're gonna do a Star Wars movie marathon, no. You should only watch this if you're planning to watch all of the the Clone Wars, and I guess all like the related series, like Rebels and the Bad Batch and all that. Speaking of which, I realize now that there's a big gap of time between season 6 and season 7, which I think is like 6 years. In between that time span, Rebels came out. Will I be doing a big gap of things? I'm not sure. I don't think so. I don't think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm just gonna go seasons like 1 to 7, and that's it. And then I'll do Rebels. Might not make a lot of sense since there's probably stuff like in hindsight that they did to set up for Rebels, and maybe there's gonna be stuff there like in season 7 that doesn't really make any sense if you never watched Rebels. But maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I don't think so. I've never heard of that. I only saw in like Bad Batch where they explained Kanan's origins, but that's really it. So I might go in that order. I will also be doing Resistance. Sadly, I think Resistance probably like 2 seasons. It's not that long. I will be doing Resistance as well. I'll be reviewing Resistance. I think that's it. So yeah. Um. Anyways, this officially starts our review of our restarted reviews for Star Wars: The Clone Wars. 5 years after the podcast started. I think I mentioned the time span quite a bit this episode, but yeah, this will not be a long episode. I've already spent fucking almost 10 minutes. I think legit 10 minutes, fucking monologuing. Right, the episodes are all monologues about this shit. So you know what? Let's just get into the whole thing. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be. I'm not gonna talk about this movie for long since there's not much to talk about anyways. So yeah, let's just get into it. Starting off, we always start off with the visuals and action. Okay, I know it's 2008. I know this movie came out a good 18 years ago. I'm not ready to admit that. I'm not ready to fucking like. I am not ready to have it in my mind that 2008 was 18 years ago. I know it was a long time ago, but I can't. That's not in my mind. That's not a thing that my mind can compute. But it is something that is a real thing. I know it was 18 years ago, almost 20 years since when we came out. And honestly, even with that time span put in there, the animation still looks fucking awful. Jesus Christ! In some very specific instances, it looks good, but you put the wrong shadow in the wrong spot, and it looks like a fucking PS2 cutscene. It looks bad. There is a shot in the desert where they're like, I think on Tatooine or some shit. Yeah, it's on Tatooine, and it's on like in a sunset, and it looks bad. It looks bad. The animation, I guess, I don't know what you call it, like fidelity, is terrible. It does not look good. Obviously, I know it's going to get better as it goes on. I know. But right now, it is 2008. I'm looking at this in a 2008 lens, and I gotta say, even with like not even hindsight, just like I guess not they just removing the fact that it's been 18 years, it still looks bad for that age. We had tremendous animation by 2008. Like obviously you're not gonna have the best thing, the best animation ever for a pilot to a TV show, and like a 90-minute pilot to a TV show, but it's at least supposed to look good. That's what I would think. But Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the movie, doesn't. It doesn't have that level of quality to it, which, meh. But the problem is, it released in theaters. It released in theaters. Like, come on. Are we serious? And it shouldn't have been like this. I don't know. It was just bad. It was just bad. It was just bad. It just looked bad. I'm sorry. Even with time, even if taking apart like just the fact that it's been so long, it still looks bad. Unfortunately, the action kind of makes up for it. I feel like the action is very not very, but it's certainly what the fuck was that? It's certainly enjoyable. It's not bad. and I do like it a lot. Uh, it carries it quite a bit. There is not a lot of action in this movie overall, but I feel like what where there is action, I feel like it's pretty nicely animated. I don't think the actual like movement of the characters is bad. I feel like just how the characters look is bad, but the movement itself isn't bad. And they kind of had it down for like even for this movie, they had it kind of down overall. Like this movie looks pretty damn solid, all things considered. Like not looks, but like it moves and has fights that are pretty solid and not bad. It's just that the actual animation quality, like the how the animation looks and the characters look, is not the best, and they need better like lighting. They need better everything. They need better everything. But yeah, there is not much to say in this little section. I feel like some fights are cool, some of them are just kind of like meh. Again, they haven't gotten it down yet, but they kind of I kind of see where the style of Clone Wars came from, you know. So yeah. Anyways, next up, let's talk about some characters. Again, probably not gonna talk about these for a good for a lot. There really isn't that much here. We have Ahsoka, and Ahsoka. I'm sorry to Ahsoka fans, but she is quite annoying in this movie. And I know it's a sentiment shared by a lot of people that Ahsoka in this movie is pretty goddamn annoying. And yeah, no. Like she starts out being like, oh, like Master Yoda sent me, and I like, oh, like you think she'd be like by the book, but she really isn't, which I appreciate. I think she's a good apprentice for Anakin, but in this movie she is very reckless, and I know it's part of her character, but I don't know. I feel like all her action, like how her voice actors had to portray her. But I mean, I have no problem with the voice actors, like how the direction what was taken. It was just not good, not good. I just felt like Ahsoka was really annoying. I know it's not like that in the show proper, but in this movie, she's very annoying, and I do not like her. I do not like Ahsoka in this movie. He is not good. Not good. Anyways, yeah, not much more to say about Ahsoka. There's not much character growth that goes on here, and I know why. It's the pilot to the show, and blah 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 blah. But there really is not much. It's like, oh, like you learn your lesson now, or whatever the fuck. It's like you better become better on your. You better be better by the time Anakin is done training you. I think we all know where that ends. So yeah. Anyways, let's move on to Anakin. Anakin is fine. I like how much he doesn't like really want to be Ahsoka's master, but then he learns that this could be quite a good partnership, and he could learn something from Ahsoka. That's cool to see Anakin being like this. Another thing that I kind of noticed is that they have to kind of I like to see where they how like, at least like the show itself takes it for Anakin being Ahsoka's master and them just never mentioning her. I know why they did it. I know how they did it, but I like to see how they kind of have that going in general throughout the show. I think that'd be very interesting to see. I only got to season 4, so I was pretty far in on all things considered. I got pretty far in to Clone Wars in general. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they handle Ahsoka. Because I forgot completely, kind of not completely, but I did forget quite a bit. But yeah, Anakin as a whole, he's fine. I don't think he does anything strong in this movie. He just kind of like he kind of like bickering of Ahsoka, which is becomes their character, becomes like their relationship as a whole throughout the show. So yeah, Anakin, he's fine. Obi Wan, Obi Wan, uh, I feel like I feel like James Arnold Taylor and Ewan McGregor are like on par with each other. I forgot his name. Matt Lanter and Hayden Christensen. You can tell Matt Lanter is a better actor. Hayden Christensen is weird because I feel like he was really good for Anakin, but the acting was just kind of for Hayden Christensen, and for Hayden Christensen, and we kind of see that because he's never gotten any roles, even though he played Anakin. But yeah, aside from that, like Obi-Wan's really fun in this movie. He doesn't show up much, but he's really fun in this movie. And that's because of his personality. Obi-Wan has always been a really cool character because of his personality, because of how suave he is and all that. And I really like that. And it's very shown it's shown here. I'm gonna remove this character because I have nothing to say about him. Other than him being the main villain. Yeah. Obi-Wan's very cool in this movie and I like him, even though we don't see much of him. Next up are some other characters that I want to mention. Count Dooku was one of them. Count Dooku is kind of acts as a villain, like like as like a typical cartoon villain. Oh, well now the Jedi are conspiring against you and whatever, and now you gotta kill them. It's like, well, now I got it, and this is the Jabba. I'll talk about that, like the whole Jabba like thing. It's like, oh, Jabba, they stole your son, and now you have to kill him. Like, fuck, I guess I now have to kill them. And the whole thing, like, it's just kind of like twisting. I know it's like Count Dooku's whole thing, but it's just like he spends the entire movie just twisting the words of the Jedi, not really doing much as the villain as a whole. Another character I want to talk about is Zero the Hutt. I feel like he's very fun as a character. I really like him, and and like how I like how he's portrayed like with the voice and stuff. I feel like he's a really entertaining character. I know we're not gonna see much of him, and the problem I have is he comes out like at the very end, kind of like an asshole. Like, ooh, like how did they steal? Like, it feels like, oh, how did these guys steal their sons? Like, oh, there was the whole another job that wanted to take Jabba's that wanted to take Jabba's place. I'm like, okay, fucking weird. But yeah, no, I like Zero, even though he kind of shows up kind of like in the last like third of the movie and does almost nothing, other than like solve a plot point that I feel like didn't need to be solved. But yeah, moving on to the plot. Actually, now that we're talking about it, there's not much here, to be completely honest. I think it's paced fine. There's nothing offensively wrong about the plot. It just feels like two different arcs. Like we have like the arc with Christophsis and Ahsoka and all that stuff, and that's fine. But then we have like the baby Jabba arc with Rada, which by the way, Rada the Hutt is gonna be in the Mandalorian movie. Fuck. So yeah, I know, like that's gonna be interesting. He's gonna be played by Jeremy Allen White, which is the guy from The Bear, pretty sure. So that's interesting. But the plot's rolling out around him and the separatists kidnapping his son, so they can frame the Jedi and all that bullshit. It's a very typical, I would say, like very weak Clone Wars arc. It would be a very weak Clone Wars arc, and I don't know why they chose this to be the arc that they even decide to have as the pilot, since you get I guess the war things with Christophsis, and then you get like I guess the silly goofy stuff with the Rada the Hutt arc, and the Rada the Hutt arc is kind of like oh, like this baby has like he's dying. It's like he gets a disease out of nowhere, it's a fever. It's like I was like, he's fucking dying. It's like what the fuck is happening? What do you mean he's dying? There is no way that this motherfucker is dying. What? But yeah, no, like that was so out of nowhere. Like aside from that, like it's all fine. Like the plot is fine. I don't think there's any problem with it. It's just that it wouldn't be like a top fucking 10 Clone Wars arcs. But it's like in retrospect. Let's not talk about now. In here, it's just kind of fine. The humor, yes, isn't the best, but the story isn't like offensively bad. It's just kind of like, eh. And is the better is like the best way to put this entire movie. It's just very eh. It's like, isn't it a good introduction to Clone Wars? I don't think so. I'm watching this as a technicality. I don't think you should watch this movie. I don't think it's bad. I just feel like if you watch this movie before you watch the show, you think this is some bullshit. Like what the? This is the best Star Wars show ever. And I would say it's gonna take a while to get there. Even if you skip over that, even if you skip over everything that even if you skip the movie, it's still gonna take a while. And even if you skip certain seasons, I feel it's gonna take a while. So yeah, there's that to say about the Clone Wars. But yeah, overall, the movie is fine. It's nothing special. It's nothing terrible. I feel like people really overplayed how like mid this movie was because it's just mid. It's just meh. It's not terrible. It's not like pulling your like fucking hair out terrible. It's just very meh. And I wouldn't recommend this to anyone who wants to start Star Wars, like Star Wars: The Clone Wars specifically. But if you're like me and want to be a completionist, go ahead. You're already planning on watching the rest of the Clone Wars, so might as well start with this. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna give it a C tier. Nothing more, nothing less, just a general C tier. So yeah, see, this episode was not as long as I think this episode was almost as long as like that entire first part. So yeah. What did you guys think about the Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie? Am I crazy for giving it higher than like a fucking F tier? Leave in the comments below. If you want to give us your feedback on the episodes, you can like or dislike the episode on YouTube and or rate us on Spotify. And if you want to stay up to date for content, you can subscribe on YouTube or follow us on Spotify. And if you want to, follow us on other socials, including mine, any of the Entertainment's or Media Phase, and whoever is on the episode with me. They're on the description, including all my review sites where I post early reviews for stuff I watch, either for the podcast or in relation to the podcast. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.